Hi everyone. Well, we thought we'd do a bit of a video update this evening because there's some quite active weather coming up this week with rain, showers and occasionally stronger winds. And yeah, I thought it would make it a little bit easier to compact it down a little bit, I think. Compress the amount of information that would have to be written. So maybe it's a lazy way of doing things, who knows. But anyway, let's get on with the forecast. So we'll start off here with the synoptic charts, and we can see the temperatures are overlaid here. And this is the temperature slightly higher up in the atmosphere, a few thousand feet up. So it's actually not affected really as much by the ground temperatures. So you know, the heating during the day and the cooling during the night doesn't affect. It's not as affected by those temperatures. So it gives you a bit more of an idea of to what kind of air mass we're in. So this is tonight, and you can see this area of low pressure is actually out to our west, and it stalls. And where this stalls, this is what one of the reasons for this area of low pressure here, which is ex-Hurricane Kirk at this point, to move along its southern edge, because really this is the parent dominant low. At least it would have been at first, because it is larger, and you tend to find the larger lows pull the smaller lows around the outside, around the periphery of them. So this will be thrown around the outside of this system here, with the strongest winds, of course, always at a 90-degree angle roughly to the direction that it's traveling. So in this occasion it will be moving east-northeast with the strongest winds really sort of to the south really, and then as it starts to move more northwards here, the strongest winds start to move slightly more to the east. But you know, this won't really affect us. It does look like the majority of it will be to our south. So yeah, and that then moves up into the Baltic Sea, and we get this area of high pressure coming towards us, or starting to drift over us for next weekend. It doesn't look 100% certain at the moment, but it does look like a potential of this happening. So it looks potentially like a settled weekend next weekend. But of course, we'll let you know a bit more about that closer to the time. So now let's have a little run through of the winds this week. I hope you can see this if you're using a mobile device. In fact, maybe we will zoom in just a touch here. This might make it a little bit easier to view on a smaller screen. And you can see this area of low pressure that we were just talking about. It's starting to stall out to our west, and a fair old breeze coming around it, but nothing too strong. And here comes Hurricane Kirk, or ex-Hurricane Kirk at this point. And you can see it clipping really Spain, and it moves in towards France there, and out towards Germany, and out towards the Baltic Sea. And so it doesn't really have too much of an influence over our weather. Perhaps a little bit of breeze and some clouds as it passes by, but other than that, it doesn't seem like it's going to be too much of an impact in our area. So now let's have a quick look at the rainfall for the next few days with a high resolution model. Then we drop to a lower resolution model after this, because the detail that far out, you know, it isn't quite so good. So the quality drops off. But for the next 36 hours, really, you can see that we've got this area of rain that's moving away to our east here, which is what we had earlier. It wasn't too bad really. We had a few millimeters worth. And then these showers following behind, which should be really developing now, and in fact is the case. There's a few showers developing across the island and just to the east. And then you can see that the wind direction here as well, coming in from the southwest. Then more showers develop overnight, possibly really heavy at times, maybe even the odd rumble of thunder locally. And these continue on and off really through tomorrow morning. And then the wind slowly changes direction, more in towards the southeast, as we see this really heavy area of showery and potentially thundery rain moving up from the southwest. So we could see some really heavy downpours mixed in with this, possibly enough for a weather warning. But of course, we will see how this develops. And then as we move through tomorrow evening, it clears away and further showers moving behind. Again, possibly heavy and with the risk of thunder mixed in too. So it looks like a very showery 24 to 48 hours really. So now we switch to the lower resolution model, but it still has some detail of the rain moving through, which of course will be showers. it looks a little bit more widespread on this, but this is, let me assure you that this is still just showers. And then they continue moving through on Tuesday. And then really they get potentially really quite heavy again, and you can see that they're showers because they're focused here on the coast. Now if we pop the temperatures on here for this time of, well, it's the evening, you can see 13 degrees Celsius over land and around 15 or even 16 over the coast. So the warmer air is rising up through the cooler air above it and producing these showers, whereas inland they die out because the air is much more stable because it's somewhat cooler and there's no warming air rising or warm air rising. And then these showers start to clear away gradually through Tuesday night. And then we start to see some slight influences of ex-Hurricane Kirk. Now, when I say slight influences, it will be some slightly more stable air moving in. So it should dry out for a little bit. And you can see this rain down here. That's from ex-Hurricane Kirk down here. The winds do switch around into the north, and things start to become a little bit colder. We do see potentially a cold front moving down across the country on Thursday, but then that clears away towards later on Thursday into Friday, and it leaves us with a rather clear, bright, fresh, cool north to northwesterly flow, which will gradually come around to the northeast as we move in towards next weekend, I expect. So let's finish off here with the temperatures. Now you can see as we're going through tonight, the temperatures fall away, as I mentioned before, 14, 15 degrees, which is the same as tomorrow night really. And then the temperatures rise up to 16 or 17 tomorrow, a little bit warmer further north, which is quite mild for the time of year. And then through tomorrow night, they don't fall away too much. 14 inland, 15 to 16 on the coast again. Then as we move through Tuesday, the temperatures again 16, possibly 17 degrees for a time. But it will start to gradually cool down as we move through the week. So as we move in towards Wednesday, the temperatures are fractionally lower, still 15 to 16, which is still relatively mild. But we may see a few 17 degrees towards the north of the island later on Wednesday. But then this is when it really starts to cool down. You can see this cooler air moving down towards us already on Thursday, and Thursday afternoon we're looking at 13 to 14 degrees Celsius generally across the island, and then by Friday much cooler indeed, so we're looking at 10 or 11. So that is actually quite chilly for the time of year. So from one extreme to the other really, mild and wet to very dry and cold towards the end of the week. So that's it really, not much else to say with this forecast, other than that it does certainly look like an unsettled and quite wet start to the week. Hurricane Kirk almost certainly looks like missing us really as we move into the second half of the week, and then towards the very end of the week it certainly does look like being quite dry and cold and fresh, including really the start of the weekend as well. Of course, as I always say, if anything changes we will let you know and we will give you further updates through the week. But other than that, that is all for now. Goodbye.